Welcome to the Saints That Serve podcast,
where each week your hosts dive into the crossroads of faith,
culture,
and the unknown. Christ is Lord,
and the kingdom is now. We are the Saints That Serve.
Hey, welcome to the Saints That Serve podcast.
That is the Saints That Serve podcast.
That's right, where each week we bring riveting content that will entertain you and your family. This is episode 35, and we got a pretty entertaining lineup for you this week. We are going to be diving into the mysteries of piracy.
And we're not talking about movies or music.
No, well, kind of in the cinematic universe or realm of cinema, kind of.
We personally are not stealing things from the internet.
Yeah.
Though pirates do steal things.
Some may say they practice piracy of the great seas of the internet.
But the Saint Boys do not do that.
We do not. We're just
anymore.
We're just going to talk about it. Anyways, if you need prayer, we want to pray for you. Feel free to reach out to us. There is a link at the bottom of this episode show notes. It takes you to a direct SMS messaging. And basically, you just text us. You text it to us. We get it. We'll pray for you. You can also email us at saintsthatserve@gmail.com. Not which I think I messed up last week.
It's fine.
It's just saintsthatserve@gmail.com.
That's right. One day that's going to come back to bite us, but you know what?
I already feel the teeth marks.
That's weird because nothing's bit us yet.
Call it a hyper sensation.
Hypersensitivity.
We'll call it a spiritual foreknowledge. Anyways, my name's Johnny, and with me is my co-host,
Jairus.
And we are the Saint Boys.
Saint Boys.
Saint Boys. You know, I was thinking about it today in the car.
Mm-hmm. You drive?
I do,
actually,
wow. Surprisingly.
What's your driver's license number?
It is, no, I don't know.
Mine's 2.
2?
Yeah, number 2.
I'm the second driver in the entire country. No, I was thinking about it, and I don't think people, like, if you haven't listened to the intro, you see the name as Saints That Serve, and then you come and you listen to our content, and we talk about movies, games, and weird creatures. And people are like, what does this have to do with serving and being a saint? So I just wanted to just bring it back up, kind of at we're in the mid-30s, plus bonus content.
That's right. We're exactly middle of the 30s.
Exactly. At episode 35, right in the middle. But just so you guys know, we do other things outside of the podcast that we try to bring glory to the Lord to. But the podcast's focus is to bring Christian entertainment to people. Right. We enjoy talking about movies. We enjoy talking about video games and board games and music and all things pop culture. But there's no one in that sphere of entertainment that is bringing glory to the Lord. And so we want to be those guys. We want to be able to talk about piracy, but then bring it back around and say, okay, so how can we build up the kingdom of God in this space?
Right. So yeah, that was the initial thought on. I brought it to you many moons ago at this point.
Many moons.
How I personally was getting very frustrated trying to find, something in the entertainment, side of podcasts.
Yeah.
Because I like video games, I like anime, I like movies. But typically they're talking about the topics that I want to hear about, but they bring a lot of their personal beliefs into it, and it opposes my personal beliefs.
Yeah. And I feel that way too when we talk about if I listen to anything that has to do with board games or video games or movies, like there's just not a real, it's very worldly. And it's because a lot of that content is world focused and not Christian focused. But there's a turn. I see a change happening because of things like Angel Studios.
Which, if you haven't listened to our past episode, we talk about Angel Studios.
We do talk about Angel Studios. And we're not going to tell you the episode because we want you to go find it for yourself.
And also, we don't remember it, so.
But yeah, there's, I see a change coming. I see Christian content that is genuinely entertaining for other people popping up.
And also on, the other side of that, even if it isn't Christian content, it is becoming less and less focused on things that oppose God. I've noticed as well.
Yeah. For a little while there, it was getting super, even in kids entertainment, getting super duper sexuality focused.
Gender identity,
all that
nonsense. Yeah.
And it was across the board. And it was like, I feel like I'm watching the same movie at every single thing I go to.
And every single one of those, you just want to leave.
Yeah. And so it feels like it's starting to turn around a little bit. They're realizing that stuff doesn't really sell in the general world.
So a quick little story here. So Marvel movies have in the past, especially last year, couple of years, have been pretty focused on those kind of things.
Woke
things. And this year, surprisingly, they seem to be getting back away from that. They're backing off.
Backing up.
Because I think they're realizing that the loudest voice is the people who are saying, we want to see these things in these movies. We want to see these things. And it's not even their target audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Captain America Brave New World, it wasn't the best movie, but there was nothing woke in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was poor. I told Ashley, my wife, if you don't know.
And my wife.
That it was an entertaining enough movie. And if they move forward.
Yeah.
With this being a starting point, it is actually looking fairly decent for Marvel. And so we went and saw Thunderbolts, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing woke in it, and it's actually a really good movie.
There you go. You heard it. Just go pro-sleep, not pro-woke.
That's right. We all want to be asleep.
That's right. No.
Don't wake me up before you go.
Don't wake me up. Anyways, who's that? Derulo? Is that Jason Derulo?
I don't know.
Don't wake me up. Don't wake me up. I'm pretty sure it's Derulo.
Mine was, who did that? Don't wake me up before you go. Yeah. Whatever that, whoever did that. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't actually remember who that is either. Anyways, are you ready to dig into some piracy in the
media format? Yeah, I'm ready to set sail on this.
Nice.
All
right, so today we're taking a very specific route and talking about the One Piece TV series on Netflix.
Very specifically that.
Very specifically the live action.
So the reason why we want to very specifically talk about the live action is because how easily accessible it is.
If you have Netflix.
If you have Netflix. I'm talking about getting into watching it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot easier to watch 8 1-hour episodes than the 100 episodes they covered in the anime.
Yeah. I'm looking back on this and thinking about how many episodes I watched in the anime. And I'm like,
it's so much.
I shouldn't have watched how many I watched. Anyways, the story, okay, at the core of it though, regardless, because it is daunting. The anime version, there is an insane amount.
I think at this point, the One Piece anime is currently around 1,200 episodes.
Yeah, and they're 20 minutes apiece, so, it adds up. But the story inside of it is pretty entertaining. and the character development is good. It's really good. So, they took that existing, because it's a manga, and then they turned it into an anime, and now Netflix is doing a live action version, but they're condensing it.
Yes. So what they covered, and so we'll be using the term arcs a lot. So if you don't know what that is, it's essentially a story being told where they're at a very specific location. It's one story arc.
Yep.
But you can't really call it seasons, because because of how long and drawn out a lot of the stuff is in the anime, a story arc could cover hundreds of episodes, be covered within 100 episodes.
Yeah.
I think one of the newer arcs is like 300 episodes.
Unreal.
So what the Netflix show did is they took one arc and purposefully made it 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And so they really condensed it. Anime is really famous when they make live action adaptations of anime. They are trash.
Like Street Fighter.
Name just any of them. This is actually one of the, if not the first, one of the only anime adaptations that is universally beloved.
Yep.
So,
like Avatar: Last Airbender.
No.
Both times they messed it up.
So bad both times.
Yeah, 2 chances.
So, getting into it, what is the story of One Piece?
Yeah, so there's actually a lot.
What is the generalized? Yeah, because One Piece is so dense in its lore. So I personally watched it condensed myself.
Yes.
There was a fan edit that cut down all of the fluff and the extra and all the filler that is in the One Piece anime and cut it down to just the important stuff.
Yep.
And it cuts out about overall 500 episodes worth of time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's called One Piece. If anybody wants to look it up, it's just a condensed, really well done, condensed version of One Piece.
And that's for the anime.
And that's for the anime, yes.
But anyways, yeah, so the idea is it's this world that has, like ours, it's mostly water. The best way to explain it is it's like an insane amount of islands in 4 different oceans. And then there's one strip of land that kind of wraps the globe. And then there's another ocean that's another strip that kind of divides everything.
So the divide is the Grand Line and the main line circling. The other one is the Red Line.
Correct. Yeah. So there's 4 oceans. I think they just call them the different blues. And then there's the Grand Line, which is a small ocean that cuts through all of them and goes in a circle around the globe. And then there's an intersecting line that goes that kind of makes like a cross, and it's called the Red Line, and it's a landmass that loops around as well. So I put all that out there for everyone to understand that the world is mostly water, and everyone's traveling around on boats. And the intro to the series is there's already a bunch of lore and history that's happening, but we're entering in at a point that's called the Grand Pirate Era, which was started by a notorious pirate that was called the King of the Pirates. He had a massive treasure that he hid, and that is called the One Piece.
Wow.
And he challenges everybody to go out and find it.
At the moment of his execution.
And so the One Piece is following a specific group of characters who are led by a guy named Monkey D. Luffy. And Luffy is the main character. And he's a very charismatic, always positive, no nonsense kind of guy. Like, well, let's just do it.
No nonsense. He's all nonsense.
Well, like he doesn't slow down to think things through. It's either just yes or no with him.
He is our happy-go-lucky, spry main character.
Yeah. So, but it's about him, and
the series pretty much starts off with him saying, I am now going to go on my pirate adventure to go look for the One Piece.
his
and in his dream, and to become the king of the pirates.
Yeah, that's so. There's an understanding by everyone in the world that whoever finds the One Piece becomes the next king of the pirates, and so everyone's looking for this notorious treasure, or infamous treasure, I should say. And so Monkey D. Luffy decides that he's going to be the king of the pirates. So he's out to look for the treasure for the One Piece, and along the way, he meets different individuals that also have dreams that are grand and outrageous.
Most of them very young also.
Yeah.
I think our oldest character is Robin, who we won't even really get into story-wise.
No.
Or is it Frankie?
The oldest one would be Frankie.
Frankie, then
No, it would be,
is it Jinbei?
No, what's his name?
Oh, Brooke.
Yeah, Brooke.
Yeah.
Brooke's technically the oldest.
Right, but we named like...
That's way too far.
Like there's so many pirate crew members on there that we won't even touch on or see. Like Frankie doesn't show up until like episode 400 something.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's what's great. It's like you'll run into these characters and they'll just, and yeah, we're going to be part of the crew now, that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. So, but each individual he comes across, they have this crazy dream, and Luffy believes in the dream and believes in them, and
because they aspire to something.
Because and so he kind of like champions them and like is like, hey, like, come on, join my crew, let's do it. And
a lot of times he's not asking, he's saying, come on, you're my crew member now.
Yeah, and so in the live action adaptation.
Before we get into that, something that's very important to go over is what the devil fruit is.
Oh, okay. So in this,
because that is a huge plot point to the show.
Yeah. In this show, in this universe, there is these things called devil fruits, and translated from Japanese. So not the literal Satan fruits.
No. It's more of like the reason why they call it devil fruit is because it's more of a curse than a gift.
That's the idea, because anyone who eats the fruit, they're given an ability that is not human.
Right.
But they can no longer swim in the water. They automatically sink.
In a world full of water. They just instantly lose all consciousness, essentially, and just can't do anything when they're in water.
Yep. Yeah, there was an episode where Luffy fell into the ocean, and a couple of people started freaking out, and 2 people jumped in to save him, and both of them were devil fruit people, so they both started sinking. And they get them all on the boat, and one of the characters was like, next time when you want to go save someone, let someone else do it.
Because I know what you're talking about. Who was it that jumped in after him?
It was Brooke and Chopper. They both have devil fruit power. They both know they can't swim.
And it's always funny.
But they're just like, oh, we're going to save Luffy. And they jump in and sink.
So it's always funny because like every fruit is like the same word twice. And that's what describes what power they're going to get. So the Luffy eats the gum fruit.
Yep.
And he becomes a
rubber man.
A rubber man. So he's, the best way to explain it is he's Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same thing, but he's Mr. Fantastic.
Super duper stretchy. Yeah.
So getting back onto it. So the beginning of it, first couple episodes, it's Luffy setting off.
Yeah.
And he meets a young boy named Kobe. Kobe. Thank you.
Yeah. Who also has a dream.
Which, that's important, is he wants to become part of the Marines.
Yep.
And the Marines are obviously the police opposing piracy.
Yeah, they are the military facet of the government, which is the world government.
Right. Okay, so we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, and it's insane how deep the lore is.
Yeah.
Where I stopped watching the anime.
Yeah.
I haven't got back onto watching it. It's been a while. is there's so much hinted at lore, and it's still technically early on in the show. Like they hint at pirate lords, they hint at like ancient treasure that everybody's trying to hide.
Yeah,
like all this like history of like there's like an entire like portion of history that's just no one knows what happened in, and
100 years of history that's missing.
And there's just like at the face of the show, looks like a children's show.
Yeah.
It's really not.
It's not.
It's so deep in its lore, it's insane.
Yeah. And they're, just so we're clear, the anime is definitely not a children's show.
Mm-hmm.
There is blood, there is language, and there is lewd stuff. It's not as bad at the beginning, like earlier on, but as you progress, I mean, we talked about this earlier. I had to stop watching somewhere around I said I made it to Marineford arc.
Which I'm not that far.
No. But really, I should have stopped like 2 arcs before. But I kept on going, saying like, oh, it'll get better. Oh, this is just a one-off. We'll get through all this stuff. And so it got a little too much for me personally and my personal convictions. But I cannot deny the story is good.
Yeah. It's wild for me to see you say what I consider one of the very most animes, and you on your own went out and watched it because of the Netflix show.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the reason I started watching the anime is because I really liked the live action adaptation that Netflix did. So, yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good, but...
So do you want to kind of get into that and just kind of explain the different arcs and the characters we meet? Just kind of get into the show?
Yeah, let's do it.
So it starts with the Romance Dawn arc, right? Which is the meeting of Luffy.
Yep.
And that's when he meets Kobe.
Yep.
And then he also runs into, I don't remember her name, but she's the overweight.
Oh, overweight.
The really fat woman.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember her name.
Yeah, which is wild because she comes back later and she's not fat anymore.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Because she ate a devil fruit that made her skinny. It was like called the smooth fruit.
Yeah, something like that.
So you kind of go through that, and that was really short. I think that was all, like a lot of stuff happens in like the first episode of the Netflix show that kind of covers a bunch of different arcs.
Yeah, so Luffy...
Or not arcs, but plot points.
Yeah, Luffy sneaks aboard this ship, and the captain is this overweight pirate lady that we can't remember her name. But Kobe is on the ship as a cabin boy. But he doesn't want to be on the ship. He was forced to be there. He was pressured to be there. His desire is to become a Marine. And so he meets Luffy, and Luffy's like, well, just go for it. If that's your dream, just do it. And then he beats up on everybody on the ship to get off the ship.
Luffy does.
And
then brings Kobe with him.
And takes Kobe with him.
And from there, they go to the closest Marine fort. And there they find
Zoro.
A man, Zoro, tied up at a post. And it's Zoro, one of my favorite characters.
Rononora Zoro.
And so they free him, and the Marine captain that's staying at that fort is actually kind of a tyrant.
Yep.
And they defeat him. He gets arrested. And Kobe and the Marine captain's son, El Hippo or something like that. Mel Hippo?
I feel like it's not an L. It's like a Gippo or...
Yeah, something like that.
A Gippo or...
So like his son being a spoiled brat, kind of trying to help his father. At the end of it, him and Kobe join another Marine ship to become better Marines. And Zoro leaves. And I guess this is where it's a little weird. El Meppo.
El Meppo, yeah.
El Meppo. So we also run into, on the Netflix show, which is This Is Not the Case, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm remembering it poorly. But they also run into a woman named Nami, who is a thief.
At the fort, yeah.
At the fort. And so Luffy convinces Zoro and Nami to join his pirate crew.
Yes. Like, they commit to it, but it's clear that Nami has ulterior motives.
Which Nami is kind of, for at least for the first season of the live action, is kind of the main focal point of the overall story that we're looking at in these episodes.
Yeah.
So she's a thief trying to really steal, money and maps.
Correct.
And so they travel on to, they join together and they travel to Orangetown, where they meet the Liar.
The Liar.
So that is Usopp.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Usopp. He's a long-nosed sniper, but he likes to use it as a sniper. A slingshot sniper.
Which throws me off every time.
Mm-hmm.
But, to each his own. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. And we kind of skipped over his Luffy's past with Red Hair Shanks.
Yeah, a little bit. But, there's not a whole lot in there besides that he really looked up to Red Hair Shanks as a role model. And, Red Hair Shanks gave him a hat. And he's like, hey, hold on to this.
Well, that's important because he says it's a straw hat. And he's like, take care of my hat. And Luffy, that's like his most prized possession is this straw hat.
It's a straw hat. And it's so much so that the entire pirate group is known as the Straw Hat Pirates because of his hat.
Right. So
it's so iconic.
Mm-hmm. So nonsense goes down and Usopp joins the crew, but they don't have a pirate ship.
No.
But Usopp, there's a girl in the town that Usopp always goes to and tells these grand stories to, but they're always lies.
Yeah. They're fake.
Always lies. And so there's a butler in her house who plans on killing her, the girl.
Yes.
So that he can inherit her fortune.
Correct.
And it's kind of revealed that he was poisoning her slowly and making her sick and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so finally, when Usopp learns the truth about this guy and goes to try to tell this truth about this butler, no one believes him because he's a liar. He's literally the boy who cried wolf embodied in this anime.
Yeah.
That he was taking because it's revealed that he's actually secretly a pirate and he was embedded in here to try to get this fortune from this girl.
The butler was.
Not Usopp. So he has his pirate crew waiting and they're going to storm the island. And it's such a great scene of Usopp and Nami and Zoro and Luffy all defending the island.
Yeah, but that's in the anime.
Mm-hmm.
In the live
action, oddly enough, this was probably my only complaint, is how it kind of turned into a horror movie. And they were chasing them just a few individuals inside the mansion at night.
Yeah. Yeah, totally different from how it went down in the anime. Whereas in the middle of the day, there's this entire pirate crew that's raiding the island. Mm-hmm. Totally different, but still pretty entertaining. But they end up defeating him, and out of a gesture of appreciation.
Which, again, this is important.
Yeah.
The girl gifts them with a ship.
The Going Mary. Which has a sheep's head at the front of it.
Mm-hmm. All because another one of her butler type dudes wears a sheep's hat. So they name it, his name is Mary, and they name it after him for some reason.
Yeah, I believe that he's not a butler. He's kind of like an accountant for the family. Mm-hmm. He handles the family's money.
Right. And it's crazy because in the live action, another weird thing, they kill him off.
Yeah.
Just for some reason, very quickly, they just kill him off.
Yeah.
But the entire ship is named after this minor character.
Yeah.
So, whatever. So they leave this island, and then they go to probably one of the cooler arcs in here, which is where they go to Baratie.
The Baratie, yeah.
Yep.
Which is a restaurant ship. It's a ship that's a restaurant that floats around. And it's home to a bunch of misfit cooks and chefs who like to fight and cook.
Mm-hmm.
And their head chef is a former pirate captain who mastered the art of the kick.
Mm-hmm, yes. Because they don't want to damage their hands because they use their hands to cook.
A chef's hands are sacred
and
reserved for preparation of food.
Right.
And so they can't use them to fight with, so they got to use their feet, is the understanding. So anyways, he's known as, I don't remember what his name is, but he's known for his fighting style, his unique feet only.
It's Chef Zeph.
Chef Zeph. Mm-hmm. But he has a young man.
Mm-hmm. Part of his...
Who's a sous chef
mm-hmm.
on his restaurant.
His name is Sanjay.
Sanjay?
Sanji,
and he is always smoking a cigarette.
Always. Unless you're watching the 4Kids version of One Piece, has a lollipop in his mouth.
I didn't know that there was a 4Kids version.
So we can get into this. It's one of the worst adaptations of One Piece.
Oh, really?
Where, like, I don't know how far they got into it, but they heavily edited things out. Like, the Marines who carried, like, rifles have water guns. And characters who are smoking have lollipops in their mouths.
I don't know. I kind of want to watch this one now.
Yeah?
That sounds like my speed.
There you go. It's that kind of stuff. They take out a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, the adult stuff.
When somebody gets punched in the normal anime, they just get hit.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 4Kids dub, it shows the word "pow" on the screen.
I love it.
There you go.
I'm all about it. Oh, man. But yeah, so Sanji has another one of those crazy dreams.
Mm-hmm. He wants to find, what is it called? The All Blue?
The All Blue, where all 4 oceans meet at one point.
And that's where you essentially, you can, as a chef and a fisherman, can find all of the different fish in one place in the world.
All the different delicacies, yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also, at that point, is when Zoro's dream is revealed. He wants to become the greatest swordsman.
Mm-hmm. And ironically, who shows up on the boat at the same time he reveals his dream?
The greatest swordsman.
Hawkeye Mihawk.
Hawkeye Mihawk.
Which, this was very dumbed down in the live action.
Yeah.
Where they had Don Craig.
Yeah, he didn't even show up.
So, ironically, though, they show Mihawk, in the live action, they show Mihawk killing Don Craig.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
For like a split second, and then Mihawk goes to Baratier.
Yeah.
But in the anime, Mihawk shows up. They have a altercation with Mihawk. Mihawk leaves, then Don Craig shows up.
Yeah.
To try to take over the boat. It's a floating boat restaurant, and trying to take it over because all of their crewmen are starving.
They're starving, and their boat is about to
fall
sink.
apart. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're trying to take over the restaurant to eat all the food and commandeer the ship.
But their big thing on the ship is, because of Sanji's backstory with Chef Zeph, is that they will feed anybody who's hungry because of things that they went through.
Yeah.
Which is like one of the saddest moments in the show.
Yeah.
Is where Sanji, as a young kid, like, they're stranded on the island.
Mm-hmm.
And like, Sanji eats all his food and thinks that Chef Zeph has all this food for himself. He's like, well, I'm just going to go kill Chef Zeph and take all his food.
Yeah.
And it's revealed that, Sanji, they draw out the food for like 100 days.
Mm-hmm.
He runs out of food on the 100th day.
Yeah.
And he goes to go steal Zeph's food. And it's revealed that Zeph never had any food at all.
Yeah.
And he cut off his leg and ate it. And that's how he survived, because he gave the young boy all the food.
Yeah. Yep. Heart-wrenching.
So that was like this really nice moment. That's why Sanji stayed with Zeph and learned how to be a chef, so that people could no longer go hungry.
Yep. And apparently he's a pretty good chef.
He is a very good chef.
So there you go.
Except he's a bit of a lecherous man.
I don't know what that means. What is
womanizer?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I guess you could say aspiring, because it doesn't really work out for him a whole lot.
No, he's all like, anytime he sees a pretty lady, he has to like go after her.
Yeah, he becomes mush. He like becomes a slave. He's like, I'll do anything you want me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Sick.
So that arc goes through. They fight. They fight in the. Okay, this is what's weird.
Yeah.
So just to tie in the next arc in the live action, the fishmen show up, which doesn't happen in the anime.
Wait, they show up at the Baratier?
Yeah, in the live action.
Oh.
And then Nami goes with them because it's revealed that Nami is actually part of this gang.
Yeah, she's a part of the Arlong pirates.
Mm-hmm. And so she goes with them, and then Luffy and the gang go after her because, she's one of us kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which happens a lot, I feel like, in the show.
Yeah, people are like, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm leaving. And they leave the crew, and then Luffy's like, no.
No, you're not.
No, they actually want to be here, so we need to go help them out.
Right. So, and that, the big, finale of that is they go to Arlong Park, which is another island.
Yeah.
And it's revealed that Arlong essentially took over this island. He's a fish man.
Yeah.
Who takes over this island and is,
Which, for people who need to know, they're a race of individuals. They're a hybrid, half fish, half men.
Mm-hmm.
And they're from a place called Fishman Island, where it's also the home of mermaids. So mermaids and fishmen live on Fishman Island.
Correct.
And Arlong and his crew are all fishmen. So they're all different kinds of fish men. They're humanoids, and one of them's an octopus. Some of them have shark features. Some of them have swordfish features, just different things. But Nami throws her hat in with them.
It's because when they came into and took over the island, Nami and her adopted sister, were adopted by this woman whose name is, man, I can't remember it. It's not on my notes either. But it's, Nami's adopted mother.
Yeah.
Essentially, they were having, Arlong would come along and say, came and said, this is the price you have to pay per head or I'll kill you. And Nami's mom said, here's all the money I have.
Bellamere.
Bellamere, yes. Essentially says, this money is for my 2 daughters and this is all I have, and they kill her.
Yeah.
And to try to get money, Nami goes and joins Arlong's pirates, trying to protect her family and to earn enough money to buy the island and the island's freedom.
Yeah, to buy back the island from Arlong. Yeah.
Who just came in and took it over.
Yeah. Yep.
And so having some of the best moments, I think, in that arc.
Yeah, and that's where it's discovered that Nami's dream is to make a map of the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a navigator, and she's fascinated with maps and map making. And so Luffy wants her to be his navigator.
Mm-hmm.
And when she finally joins the crew, it's to be the navigator to make a map of the world.
Right. One large map, accurate map.
One large accurate map, including every island on the Grand Line and in the other ocean.
So another major point that we kind of skimmed over is that the Grand Line is some of the most dangerous, like getting from one island to another is almost impossible type situation because you have to have a special like compass and all this stuff. And a lot of people, it's just impossible almost to go from one place to another in the Grand Line. And they're trying to go through the whole Grand Line and map it out is what Nami wants to do.
Yeah, yeah. On their quest to find
the One Piece.
The One Piece.
So yeah, they go in and, Luffy goes in and just beats the ever-loving snot out of Arlong. And it's such a good fight.
Yeah, it is good.
Mm-hmm.
And Usopp gets into a fight.
And actually wins.
And Zoro and Sanji, I can't remember in the live action if they actually fight.
They just took on where Usopp runs off.
Yeah.
And one chases after him and he beats the one.
Yeah.
And Sanji and Zoro beat 100 of them.
Yeah. Yeah, which is that's the normal for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Reoccurring all the time. It's Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro are all the heavy hitters who go in and do mass damage. And then Nami and Usopp are
just kind of there.
They're kind of there. And they even they even pointed out in the show, they're like, we're not the big tough ones. We're the survival one. We're the cute survival ones. You guys deal with
Usopp is always lying, saying he's the captain, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's sad because they don't show it in the season 1, but Usopp ends up having an incredible redemption story arc to a degree with him on Water 7.
Oh, yeah, but that's like much later.
That's going to end up being probably the equivalent of season 3 or 4 if they end up going that far with the live action.
Yeah.
Because they so they only do that much on the Netflix live action. After Arlong, that's the end of it. That's all the content they have.
Yeah.
And it's just so much more. Like they barely, for one season, they barely covered anything.
In one season, they haven't even made it into the Grand Line yet.
Yeah, in this,
most of the story's happening in the Grand Line.
Right, and in this, they haven't even made it to the Grand Line.
Yeah.
I think I kind of did some math in my head with the story arcs and whatnot.
Yeah.
It would probably take 15 seasons for them to catch up to where they're at in the anime.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll ever get that far, but they have enough content, enough source material to do it. So,
yeah. And so we talked about character development. That's I think the part that I enjoy in the series, I mean, in the anime, because the live action, we only have one season.
Mm-hmm.
But in the anime, as the story progresses and as they get further, and with each arc that they go to, with each arc, they meet an impossible villain for where they're at. And it forces them to go the next step to where they get to the point to where all of them, including Usopp and Nami, they're all so overpowered that to the average person now, they are way above them.
Yeah. It's really well written in the way that even the weakest of the characters have development and become incredibly strong.
Yeah. And I think that...
what is the name of his character, like who he disguises himself as because he was too proud of himself to apologize?
Oh, Sniper King.
Sniper King.
Yeah. Usopp creates a character so that he can still hang out with his friends and not
because he gets upset and quits the pirates for a little bit.
He leaves the pirates in the Water 7 arc because of a big disagreement. But he wants to help, so he creates a character called Sniper King and wears a mask.
It's so funny because I saw a meme that was just like, I don't see Usopp. All I see is Sniper King. Because the joke is it's obviously Usopp and everybody knows it's Usopp but Luffy.
In the anime, he's got an outrageously long nose. And in that phase, when he's pretending to be Sniper King, he cuts a hole in the mask so that his nose will fit through it so he can wear it. So it's very obviously Usopp. But Chopper and Luffy are fully convinced that it's Usopp's friend, Sniper King.
Yeah, which Sniper King just says, hey, Usopp asked me to come help you.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, cool.
Oh, cool, thanks.
But, yeah, everyone else on the crew is like, it's obvious.
It's obvious. Why don't you just apologize?
Well, they all say to each other, just let him have this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The irony of it is the guy did you watch it sub or dub? Did you watch it English or Japanese when you watched the anime?
English.
Okay. The guy who voices Usopp, who is kind of considered as like the useless character, he's really not, but he's kind of considered that.
Yeah.
He also voices Krillin in Dragon Ball Z, who's also considered the useless character who always dies.
That's funny.
So this guy he's just like, he has that very distinct voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And another fun fact is the guy who voices Zoro.
Yeah.
Voices All Might, essentially Superman in My Hero Academia.
Okay.
So it's funny how these actors who do these voices usually tend to do similar characters.
Well, they got the voice for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to AWA one year and they had Christopher Sabat there, the guy who voices Zoro.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And All Might. And he's like one of the big heavy hitters in the anime dub, like career path, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So.
That's pretty neat.
It's pretty neat.
Well, but I mean, we've thrown a bunch of information out.
I know. It ended up us just nerding out over this anime because this anime is old. I mean, you have to be when you have 1,200 episodes.
Yeah, it started airing. The anime started airing in 1996. 97?
I believe it's 97, yes.
But Oda, the creator, he started the manga before that.
Mm-hmm.
But when he started all of this, he had the direction that he wanted to go before he
I believe he said he knew where he wanted it to end when he started writing it.
Yeah, he had it outlined. It's just he keeps on adding things as they go. That's why it's drawn out so long, is because he keeps on adding stuff to the overall story.
Mm-hmm.
But so side note about Oda, because I don't know if this is legit, but if it is, it's sad to me.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, he only sleeps like 3 to 4 hours a night, and he only sees his family once a week.
Because he's always working on his
manga for the One Piece.
I'm sorry, but it's not worth it.
It's too much. Yeah, he's so devoted to this manga that he's made, this story, that he devotes most of his life to it. And he's got a family, and he only sees them once a week. He's got to spend the rest of the time working on this. So if that's true, I'm like, man, that's not cool.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. You can't create the greatest story and neglect your family.
I have watched videos on the cultural, like, working life of Japanese people.
Yeah.
And that's true. It's that they work all day. They work themselves to death enough to get home, to eat something, to go to bed, to get up and keep doing it again for like a couple hours. It's like the culture is work hard until you die kind of feeling to me.
Yeah. And you wonder why there's a population decrease in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's so obsessed with working that they're not having kids and raising families.
So something about One Piece, right?
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say? I feel like I interrupted you there. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, good. So the thing about One Piece is it's considered one of the greatest anime of all time.
Yeah, apparently it's sold the most mangas. It has sold the most copies in Japan, and I think it's like number 2 for most copies sold, I think, overall in the world.
I think Demon Slayer is number 1, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that, no, the thing I was looking at was like in the world, Superman has sold the most.
Well, not comics, manga.
Oh, in manga, Demon Slayer's number 1.
But in comics or that, media. So if you don't know what manga is, manga is essentially Japanese comics.
Yeah, but it's really up there. It's really big in Japan.
In the world.
I mean, yeah, in the world. It is quite large, which when I got into this, started watching it, I did not realize that it was as big as it is until I started watching it. And I was like, there's a lot. There's a lot to this.
Huh. Okay, so I was wrong. So One Piece is the highest selling manga.
Don't doubt.
Dragon Ball is up there.
Don't you doubt me.
Demon Slayer is on that list, though.
Okay. What is your favorite anime?
Oh, man. So the problem, not problem, but the thing about anime is there's so much out there that it's hard to rewatch something. Like where people say, oh, The Office is my favorite, and they rewatch it. I'm always constantly watching something new.
Yeah.
But
what's
hard.
Your nostalgic anime?
Dragon Ball Z.
There we go.
I was about to say Dragon Ball Z is probably one of my favorite.
Yeah.
One Piece. One Piece was something I didn't get into until fairly recently.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z I've watched since I was
That's not true because I remember, and it's weird that I remember this, but I remember seeing a picture of you at, was it MomoCon? AWA, dressed up as Luffy.
So I was in my higher, like 25, 26, 20s then.
Yes.
That was around when I got into watching One Piece.
Oh, okay.
Within the last 10 years, where Dragon Ball Z I've been watching since I was 5.
Gotcha.
I'm old, guys.
And me, I never really watched an anime until...
One Punch Man, right? Was your first one?
Well, yeah. First Japanese one. Because technically, I think Avatar is an anime. It's just an American one. An American anime.
We can argue about this later.
Okay.
I don't consider Avatar an anime.
Okay.
It's a cartoon.
Sorry.
But,
Sorry. yeah, then I guess it would be One Punch, which is just so funny.
It's such a great show.
It's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
I thoroughly enjoy it. There's some stuff that we could do without, but for the most part, it's funny.
One that's really great, and it really doesn't have any of that inappropriate lewdness that sometimes comes with anime, because unfortunately animes will throw in, and not to like lure anybody into sin, but more as a comical thing, they'll do lewd stuff or inappropriate
There's
stuff.
something about the Japanese culture that it's a niche that fits in and everybody's okay with it in a weird way.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't translate over to Bible Belt South.
Right.
It doesn't. It makes me uncomfortable. I mean, if I wasn't a believer, I'd probably be like, I would obviously pick up on it and be like, oh, well, that's kind of S word. But
S word.
I didn't want to say I didn't want to say it.
Got it. Okay. Not a cuss. Not a curse.
Not a cuss. A 3-letter word, not a
okay.
4-letter.
But with that being said, something that doesn't have that in it and it's really good is Demon Slayer. What?
No, it's just funny. It's the name.
I know. And the name is a little off-putting in that sense.
Yes.
But they are literally slaying these. They're more like ghouls or goblin type things. Sort of, but it's just like overpowered monsters that like.
Are they giant?
No, they're just normal. They're superhuman monsters. They call them demons.
Yeah.
But there's like a group of secret organization swordsmen who go after the demons to try to rid them of the earth.
Gotcha.
And it's like some of the best animation you can that you see in anime.
Yeah.
And that's about to end soon. They're going to have 3 movies coming out to like on their final story arc.
Mm-hmm.
And the first movie comes out this year.
Nice. So it's kind of like Blade.
That Blade would be a kind of a closer way of putting it.
For those of you who are in the Marvel world, yeah. Blade is the live action version of, or the American version of Demon Hunter.
Sort of, but it's not the same thing. Demon Slayer.
It's not. Demon Slayer.
I think you'd actually really enjoy
Demon Hunter is a heavy metal Christian band.
Yes. I think you'd really enjoy Demon Slayer.
All right. I might.
That or Attack on Titan.
Maybe.
Attack on Titan's really good. It's like German culture. That's the one with the giants.
German culture?
It has a lot of what feels like German kind of cultural influences on the show.
Oh.
I think the live action actually takes place in Germany because when the live action movie came out, they didn't have the full plot of what's going on.
Yeah.
So if you're familiar with Attack on Titan, we all know it does not take place in Germany.
Yeah. Have you ever watched Titan AE?
Moving on.
No, you haven't?
Titan AE?
Yeah.
No, but I know what you're talking about.
The movie?
Yeah.
That was a weird one.
Sure was.
Anyways, you have anything else you want to say about?
No, I don't know if you can tell. I can get on tangents on anime. Anime is great.
Yeah.
Anime is not something that I see a lot of times people think. Anime is not, oh, you're an adult watching cartoons. That's not what anime is. It gets that like kind of that stigma around it that like, oh, you're a grown man watching cartoons.
Yeah, if you watch anime, you still live with your parents. And
like loser type
of job. Yeah.
The anime is very entertaining and very well made and just overall good to watch.
Yeah.
It's so entertaining and it's so wide and diverse in its themes. Like where just don't look at it as a cartoon, look at it as TV. Because it's so wide in its genres within anime in itself.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I've watched some anime and technically do live in my parents' house. So maybe I fit the stigma.
Maybe, but
or stereotype.
But you own your parents' house now, so it's your house.
Yeah, it's my house.
And yes, we record this in the basement, but you don't live here in the basement.
I don't live in the basement. No, that's true.
So,
all right. Well,
do you have anything else to say about One Piece or anime in general?
I've got my transition for Tyler.
Oh, yeah?
That has to somewhat do with One Piece. But it's something totally different.
So let's transition into a midway conversation about the inspiration of One Piece, right?
Some inspiration is pulled from it for One Piece. Yes. It is about a real-life pirate. So, Tyler, this is your transition. This is about a pirate in the real world. He was a French pirate. His name was Olivier Levasseur. And he was around in 1960 to 1730. He was known for being ruthless in his attacks on his enemies and the way he spoke to them. Which, fun fact, is Buggy, the pirate.
Really?
He's known for bad mouthing people.
Oh, yeah, true.
That's one of his special abilities, they say. Anyways, but this is not where that's side note. He basically accumulated a very massive treasure that they estimate today to be around $1 billion. That's an estimate. There's no solid.
Is that the value of today, though? Or just...
Yes.
So not back then value?
No, not back then. It would be even more. It's the equivalent of $1 billion today.
Billion or million? I'm sorry.
Billion.
No.
The B.
Whoa.
And he stashed this somewhere, and he was caught, and they were going to hang him. And so he wore a cryptogram on a necklace around his neck.
Mm-hmm.
Before they hung him as the execution, he threw the necklace into the crowd, says, "Find my treasure if you can."
Mm-hmm.
And then he's hung. So this is a picture, and this will be posted on YouTube for you guys, but that is the cryptogram. And he just threw that into the crowd. Mm-hmm. The necklace has disappeared, but they still have this. And people ever since then, ever since the 1700s, have been looking for this treasure, but have still not found it.
Wow.
So this guy, he accumulated a massive treasure.
It's because no one has any fruit powers to help them find the treasure.
Yeah.
That's why no one's found it.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a handful of locations that people have suspected to be where it's located. And one Englishman figured out that it's hidden underground somewhere, but it's protected by the currents of the ocean.
What's that one island that's real famous right now because everybody's digging trying to find the treasure on it? It's got like TV shows.
Oak something island.
Oak Island. Yeah. That's where it's at.
No.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
That's like in Canada, I think.
This
is over like Africa.
Yeah, he went from Africa to Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where it's at. Everybody go to Oak Island.
Yeah. Now, apparently, like that one, it's pretty easy to find the location, but it's near impossible to dig it out.
Gotcha.
Like the way that they buried it and set traps and landfills and stuff like that.
That's Oak Island you're talking about.
That's Oak Island.
Mm-hmm.
With this, people haven't even found it. They don't even really know the location. There's a couple of suggestions. There's like, it's probably here. And people have looked in those islands and areas, but still no one's found anything. So pretty interesting. But that is just like
Gold D. Roger
from the One Piece, the king of the pirates. On his execution, he says, "I've hidden my treasure in one spot. It's all in one spot.
It's yours to find.
It's yours.
It's all he says, I've left it all in one piece.
In one piece." Yeah. And so, yeah, pretty similar, pretty interesting, and started making me think, why am I not treasure hunting?
Right. Oak Island.
No, I don't want to go to Oak Island. Someone has spent like, I think it was like $1 million.
They're going to get there
excavate it.
And they watch them. They'll eventually get the treasure, and it's going to be worth like $500,000.
No, that crew left.
Oh, really?
They ran out of money trying to dig it up.
Jeez.
It's like, yeah, it's one of those things. And I think because of all of the searching and digging people have done, I think it's made it even harder to get to that treasure on Oak Island.
Have you ever seen the movie Casper, the Friendly Ghost?
No.
It's so they go through that whole movie looking for the treasure in the house, and it ends up being a personal treasure of a baseball and a baseball mitt. Because the kid who plays, like, the before Casper became a ghost, when he was a boy, he liked playing baseball with his father, so it was his treasure.
Oh,
and so I'm saying that's Oak Island is somebody's personal treasure.
That'd be funny. No, it is documented to be a pirate trove. So,
there you go.
Just so you know. Yeah, so that was my pirate themed fascination that I found out.
You know what else is fascinating?
What?
Our last segment of the episode.
Oh, Tyler, this is your transition. We are moving into
the corner. Step inside, if you dare. Shadows move, mysteries whisper, and the unknown awaits. Welcome to the corner. So on this episode, we're going to be talking about a sea creature, because in One Piece, they deal with a lot of, they call them the Sea Kings.
Sea Kings.
But they're essentially just like giant sea creatures.
Yeah, and they're not, no two are the same.
No, they always look so odd. Like one's like a giant serpent, another one looks like a giant cow, sea cow.
Yeah, one of them's like a giant sea cat. It's
Right.
literally the head of a cat.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of it's a fish. So I guess it's catfish.
And there you go.
There you go.
Well, there's only one cryptid I could think of that is associated with being a sea creature. That is the Loch Ness Monster.
Loch Ness, which is from the Loch.
The Loch
of Ness.
Of Ness. It's funny because it's like the same way that we look at Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody calls him Frankenstein. No, Frankenstein was the professor, doctor, madman who made Frankenstein or the monster.
What's it called when you dig up a corpse?
Grave robber.
Is it just grave robber, or is there like a necro something?
I don't know. But it's interesting that it's called the Loch Ness Monster, but somehow it's Nessie.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Loch Ness, Nessie.
Mm-hmm. So the earliest known story of Nessie is back in 565 AD. Saint Columba, an Irish monk, is said to have encountered a water beast in the river Ness.
The river Ness?
That's what it says.
Interesting.
I wonder if because is it Lake Ness or is it Loch Ness?
So loch is the Scottish term for lake.
Okay.
They call it a loch.
So maybe there's a Lake Ness and a River Ness.
Yes. I'll have to look into that. I guess there's a river that runs by it or into. Well, I've always understood that the loch is
not really.
It's confined, but it's so deep. And they just recently, in more recent years, they found out that there's tunnels way down low. And they allege that those tunnels lead into the ocean. Or maybe they proved that. I don't know. I know that there's tunnels that go out. So it looks like if there was a monster or a massive creature that was in the lake, in theory, it could make its way out into the ocean. And then we all know that it could go anywhere because we've discovered, what was it, like 15% of our ocean or something?
Is undiscovered, or we've only
discovered like I think 15 to 20% of our ocean.
Mm-hmm. So, according to the book Life of Saint Columba, written in the 7th century, the creature attacked a swimmer, but Columba made the sign of a cross and ordered it to retreat. The monster obeyed. That is the first written, indication of Ness, Loch Ness, a monster in the Nessie.
Yeah. In the Lake Loch or the Loch.
For centuries, Highland locals spoke of kelpies, which are shape-shifting water spirits and lake monsters for years.
Yeah, which I find it interesting that the oldest story, it has to do with someone presenting and invoking Christ, and that staves off the monster.
Right.
So, if you want to take that, I guess you could say, spiritual route for the cryptid, because that's what like the deeper you dig into cryptids, cryptozoology and other things like spirits and ghosts and all that stuff, it all becomes heavily connected to the occult. And so, and things like, getting into the Nephilim and the fallen spirits of this world and all that stuff. Can they take form, and what does the form look like, and all of that. So water spirits or sprites and the monster of Loch Ness, if it's a demonic spiritual thing that's manifesting, and then you invoke the power of Christ and it deters it, then there you go. Like, case closed. It's demonic. But we don't know that.
So more recently, in 1933, the legend of Nessie exploded when a couple diving near the loch claimed they saw, in quotes, an enormous animal rolling and plunging on the surface of the lake.
Interesting.
The next year, in 1934, the famous surgeon's photograph was published. And we've all seen this photograph.
Yeah.
We've all know exactly what this thing looks like.
Yeah.
And have you seen, so like what we see is a very zoomed in image of this, the famous like cut out silhouette of the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the full photograph?
No.
It is so obviously fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it essentially for that, like, I'm not saying that Nessie isn't real, that there wasn't some sort of creature in this lake.
Yeah.
But the one picture, the proof of it, when it's zoomed out, is obviously a tiny little object at the bank of the lake.
Yeah.
Not out in the middle of it. You can all of a sudden look and realize, oh, these are tiny little just waves in the water, not like massive plummeting, like the little ripples in the water.
Yeah.
So later revealed to be a hoax using a toy submarine and putty, but by then Nessie had become a sensation, and we're talking about the photograph. So it's probably not real.
Well, but you kind of gotta leave it as an open hand thing, because like in the conspiracy realm with all these people that are trying to research and study cryptids, they have to filter through all of the genuine fake things that are put out there to get to real evidence. And like, no one's denying that. Like, there are people that will try to do Bigfoot, like, oh, we found Bigfoot on camera, and it's obviously a human dressed up in an ape costume off in the distance, or like a quick little bleep where they run at the camera or whatever. Like, it's very fake. It's very obvious and it's very fake. But some of the evidence, it's hard to justify as fake. Like, you can't really fake it. You know what I mean? But because there is that fake evidence out there, now it's like, well, it's all fake, because this stuff is so obviously fake and a lie. All of it's a lie. So that's how I look at it. I mean, this guy, he was trying to make a name for himself or trying to make some money by taking a picture of this monster in the loch, and it's just obviously not that. But what do you do with all the other stories of people that have, they have no reason to come forth and tell the story.
That's true.
I don't really know a whole lot about Nessie. I've heard all the basic stuff, and the biggest thing is like, oh, the picture, and then, oh, the picture is verifiably false.
Yeah.
So all we have is eyewitness testimony. That's it. And like I said, like the mapping of the of the loch, they have discovered caverns that lead to the ocean, I believe. Fact check me on that, people. But so if there is a giant monster that finds its way into the loch, it is very possible that it's coming from the ocean, especially if it's like other sea creatures that has a migration path and it migrates from one part of the world to the other. If the loch in Scotland, the Loch Ness, is a nesting site,
Mm-hmm.
it would make sense that this creature comes there, lays an egg, dies, and
so we're not seeing the same creature we're seeing over
supposedly.
generations.
But that's just comparing a prehistoric dinosaur-like looking monster to trout, like in what trout do. So there's no way to know.
Mm-hmm. Fun fact here: Nessie is older than most pirate myths.
Well, what do you mean by pirate myths?
Well, just pirates and piracy, kind of in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Pirate tales
And stuff.
Dead men tell no tales. Yeah.
Ironically,
to
tie it back into One Piece. So there you go.
There you go, people. Turns out that Nessie is older than pirate stories.
And Nessie, more than likely, is older than you.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think people realize that, piracy was from the late or really from the 1700s to the mid 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
Like the romanticized piracy.
Mm-hmm. There's that 100-year gap. We have it.
Yeah, no. But yeah, it's like when you hear about the pirates and stuff, you think it's older. You think it's like, 1500s is when the pirates were.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, it was the 1800s. 17 to 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Pretty cool stuff. Unless you're counting the Somalia pirates, then those are modern day. Which, have you seen?
That's still younger than Nessie.
That's true. Unless you're talking about the Vikings, then that would be. So there you go. Piracy was happening in 1700s to 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, 21st century, and still talking about it.
Yeah.
And
making entertaining entertainment about it.
That's right. And we're still talking about pirates and Nessie.
Mm-hmm.
Who is older than the pirates.
Which is older than the pirates.
So there you go.
There you go. So anyways, thank you everybody for joining us on this very fun pirate-themed 35th episode of the Saints That Serve podcast.
Yes. Sorry if it was all over your head with the One Piece stuff. If you take anything away, take away that there is a lot to the story.
Mm-hmm. And we probably, when just discussing this, probably scratched 1% of it, or went over, very quickly 1% of all the information of One Piece.
Oh yeah,
barely got into it, and we ranted for way too long.
Yeah.
But seriously, it's a great show. Again, if you think 1,200 episodes is daunting, which it is,
yeah,
there is the live action, which is 8 episodes.
And that
gives you a very good jumping off point.
And I think that the live action, I think it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out.
Which I think there's season 2 coming soon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So.
Fine.
There you go.
There you go.
Christ is Lord.
And the kingdom is now.
We are
the saints that serve.
So, in this episode,
Pulling thread.
What?
Law, a note to follow. So,
wow.
T, A drink with jam and bread that will bring us back to so. Actually, it's dough. Dough.